So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the class on operation research. And in today's class,
Right.
we'll talk about the concept of duality. So, duality in linear programming. So, many people last class had doubt about what will come in exam. Simplex method will come or LPP will come. So, few people had some doubts, and I can understand that doubts are very common because we are extensively we are focusing too much on calculation part. So definitely you can understand they are not connected with each other. But what you need to understand, everyone, that whatever I'm doing, whatever we are studying in operation research, majority of the time will focus on linear programming only. Linear programming problems, when we talk a linear programming problem, how is their structure? The structure is like that every linear programming problem start with an objective function. The objective function can be either maximization or it can be either minimization. Then it followed by constraints. So we write constraints. So when we write constraints, we write constraint with less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. And once they are done, then we write non-negativity restriction. Every linear programming problem ends with non-negativity restriction. That is how we do, and that is the structure of a linear programming problem. So once we have the structure of linear programming problem, that structure of linear programming problem you got initially when you studied the first class of the operation research, where our respected principal sir has taught you how to construct an equation from the word problem. So you learned how to construct the equation from the word problem. So once you had that equation, now what we are learning from the time I started teaching, I'm teaching you how to get the answer for those numerical problems, the equation, the LPP equation, what you get, how you can find the solution of that equation, that I'm trying to teach you. So to get the solution of linear programming problem, there are different methods you can employ. You can use graphical method, you can use simplex method, you can use Bigem method. So what is graphical method? We learned in first class of mine. In my first class, I taught you what is graphical method. And whenever we talk a graphical method, I have taught you that to work graphical method, we need two variables, x and y, or x1, x2. We need two variable. One variable we put horizontally, the another variable we put vertically, and then we find the feasible region. And based upon the feasible region, we look into what vertices or the corner point will give us the final end solution. That we have learned. That we have learned probably when we plotted the graph, and by graphical method when we use. So graphical method whenever we use, in the case of a graphical method, we can only use two variables, guys. So the graphical method itself have some constraint. So you cannot work on LPP equation having more than two variables on graphical method, because two-dimensional geometry cannot allow more than two variables. Probably then we need three-dimensional geometry. So right now, working with three-dimensional geometry on LPP, as such, there is no method. As such, on graphical method, as such, there is no method what we can employ. So when we have more than two variables, then the best possible way is to use is the simplex method. So when we use simplex method, in the case of simplex method, we need to make sure that the objective function, in the case of simplex method, that should always be maximization. So whenever we're using simplex method, we need to make sure that the objective function is always maximization. And your constraint what you have, the constraint should always be less than or equal. So your objective function should always be maximization, and your constraint should always be less than or equal. So if your constraint is always less than or equal to, if your constraint is always less than or equal to, or if your objective function is maximization, then only we can use simplex method. Okay. So last class when I did yesterday I started my class talking about Bigem method. Bigem method is an alternate approach of solving linear programming simplex method, we use BigM method only when the constraints of the LPP equation are having greater than or equal to sign. So if the constraint of linear programming problem, when you see the linear programming problem, and if the constraint of the linear programming problem is having greater than equal to sign, then 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 probably what I can do, then probably I need to use bigger method, because when the constraints are having greater than or equal to sign, then in order to write the equation in the standard form, I need to use I need to introduce negative slack variable. So if I'm trying to introduce negative slack variable, so problem with the negative slack variable is that they cannot be the part of the feasible solution. They will not give you the feasible solution. So how to solve the problem like that scenario? To solve the problem on that scenario, we, instead of working on basic feasible solution on negative slack variable, what we do, we solve the problem by using a bigger method, where we along with negative slack variable, we introduce artificial variable having a coefficient of minus m, where m is basically very large number, somewhat close to infinity. So minus m will be very small number, very close to 1. So that how what we are trying to do, that how when we work on the problem, that how when we work on the problem, we can make sure that the artificial variable does not impact the end calculation, and at the same time, while doing the we also made sure, what we made sure, and also that we also made we get the solution for the problem. So BigM method is employed only when we use BigM method. We use BigM method when the constraints are having greater than or equal to sign. Because if the constraints are having greater than equal to sign, then you need to use negative slack variable. And if you have to use negative slack variable, you cannot allow them to be the part of initial iteration table, because they will not give you the feasible solution. Then the only option left with you, that you have to think about any other variable. So what other variables apart from negative slack variable can you use? You have to use then artificial variables. Artificial variables, now if you are introducing artificial variable into the problem, how would you make sure this artificial variable should not impact the end solution? Like in chemistry, no, there's something called catalyst. So what is catalyst? Catalyst always enhance the rate of reaction. Catalyst never impact the outcome of the reaction, the products what you get in chemistry. The reactant react to get the product. So the catalyst never impact the product, they simply enhance the reaction. So that's why always in chemical reaction we study catalyst. So you can understand artificial variables as a catalyst which help to get the solution for the problem, where in order to make sure that they do not impact the end solution, we we give a coefficient of minus m over the artificial variable, and that way we check their movement into the final solution, and at the end of, when we solve them, we get the end solution with the decision variables, what all the decision variables we can have. So this much we have done so far in operation research. So I hope you people are clear with that part and you don't have any doubt. So anyone want to please ask me. So coming to the concept of duality, now the question comes, okay, sir, we understood what all you have taught so far. Can you explain us the concept of duality? Why you are teaching this topic to us? So guys, you need to understand that whenever you see any LPP equation, that any LPP equation I called as a primal. So suppose if I write equation called maxima of z is equal to maximum z is equal to x1 plus 2x2 plus x3 subject to constraint, subject to constraint u, we have 2x1 plus x2 minus x3, we have less than or equal to 2. then we have minus 2x1, then we have x2, and then we have minus 5x3, which is equal to minus 6, and then we have 4x1, 4x1 plus x2 plus x3, okay, which is less than or equal to 6. Okay, and then we have x1, x2, x3, which are greater than equal to 0. Suppose whenever you see an LPP problem, guys, so every LPP problem which we that we call as primal. So every LPP problem we call primal. So every LPP problem has another form. That form we call it dual. Every LPP problem which we call as a primal, we can write the dual form of the LPP problem. Okay, so either you solve the primal or either you solve the dual, you will get the same answer. Okay, so then the question comes, sir, then why you are teaching us this duality? So what is a big deal? I can directly solve the problem only and I'll get the solution. So what is the point of learning the concept of duality? I can solve this problem. What is a big deal? So already we know BigM method. So we simply have to use BigM method here because you can see the first constraint is less than or equal to, the second constraint is greater than equal to, and the third constraint is less than or equal to, and your third constraint is less than equal to. So in that case probably what I can do, if I solve the primal uh, by introducing two slack variables, one negative slack variable, two slack variable, one negative slack variable, and one artificial variable, I can solve it by BigM method. I'll get the answer for the problem. Now the question arises, why I'm teaching you something called the concept of duality. So the purpose of teaching you the concept of duality, why I'm teaching you the duality, the reason is that whenever you are solving an LPP equation, where in case if you're trying to solve an LPP equation, if it have more number of constraint, if the LPP equation have more number of constraint and less number of decision variable. So altogether, the construction of equation looks complicated. Imagine you have less number of decision variable and you have more number of constraint. So because you know that depending upon the number of constraint, you introduce slack variables, you introduce artificial variables, and then you're solving it. So I hope those who have solved such simplex method, bigger method, they know the pain. They know the pain of solving the problem. So in case if you are seeing a problem, where where when you see the problem, you see the problem as in the problem you have very less decision variable and you have too many constraints, then the solving that problem would be cumbersome job. So what you can do to work on this kind of situation in the problem, what you can do probably, guys, you can write them in the dual form. So when you write them in dual form, so if you are trying to write them in dual form, then the objective function which was maxima, here it will become minima. The objective function which was earlier maxima, now it will become minima. Okay, and so the objective function which was maxima in the dual form will become minima. And when you are writing them in dual form, guys, you can write them in dual form. I'll tell you also the approach what you need to use for writing them in dual form. Before you write them in dual form, you need to make sure, so before converting a primal. So before converting primal means the basic LPP equation. Before converting the primal into its dual form, before converting the primal into a dual form, okay, what you need to make sure before converting a primal into dual form, we need to make sure, we need to make sure that the given LPP equation, is in canonical form, is in canonical form. We need to make sure that the given LPP equation is in canonical form. Canonical form. Okay, so what do you mean by this term, sir? Canonical form. So guys, you need to make sure, guys, whenever you are trying to write the equation, if you are trying to convert the primal into dual, I told you the objective, why we need to convert the primal into dual. The reason of converting the primal into dual, the reason for doing this is to make sure that we can remove the complications of the problem when the problem have more number of constraint and less number of decision variable. Then it's always good that if we can write the problem in its dual form. And and guys, before you try to write the problem in dual form, you need to make sure that your LPP equation is in canonical form. So there's a new term I've introduced here, which is called canonical form. So what do you mean a canonical form? Canonical form basically means, what do you mean a canonical form? The meaning of this, it means what? It means that if the objective function is maxima, it means that if the objective function is maximization, it means that if the objective function is maximization, it means that if the objective function is maximization, then the constraint should be, then the constraint should be in less than or equal to. Should be less than or equal to. Canonical form is that if the objective function is in maximization, then your constraint should be less than or equal to. Or if the objective function, or if the objective function is minimization, if the objective function is minimization, if your objective function is minimization, then your constraint should be, then your constraint should be greater than or equal to. So you understand this means canonical form. So here, this means the canonical form. Canonical form basically means that if you see your objective function, and if your objective function is maximization, then your constraint should be less than or equal to. While if your objective function is minimization, then your constraint should be greater than or equal to. This is the meaning of the word called canonical form. So this is the meaning of the word called canonical form. Okay, so here you see these guys here. If you see this problem, your objective function is maxima. So the constraint, it should be less than or equal to. This is less than or equal to, but this is not less than or equal to. You're getting me? This is greater than or equal to. What you need to do, you need to write the equation in canonical form. So converting equation, converting the given equation, converting the given equation in the canonical form. If I write then a given equation canonical form, so I'll write maxima of z is equal to x1 plus 2x2 plus x3 plus x3 subject to constraint. What all constraint I'll write? Subject to constraint like 2x1 plus x2 minus x3 is less than or equal to 2. Then you have to convert the greater than equal to inequality into less than equal to inequality. So multiply -1. So I think you all can understand this. So if you have studied basic maths to work on inequality, to change the sign of equality, if you want to change the sign of the inequality, if you want to change the sign of the inequality, simply multiply -1. So this will become 2x1 minus x2 plus 5x3, that is less than equal to 6. And the third constraint is 4x1 plus x2 plus x3 is less than equal to 6. And then you have x1, x2, x3 greater than or equal to 0. Minimization means reducing, guys. What do you mean by minimization? Maximization, like what your mom will always try to do whenever to imagine we imagine Pavitra is very rich girl, she have lot of money, then Pavitra will never care how much to spend the money. But if suppose someone called Laila belong to very, for example, I'm telling you, for example, Laila belong to very economically family where everything what the Laila spend, her moms ask lot of question to her, because when we have less money, we think a lot before spending the money, and those who have lot of money, they don't think much. So we have a constraint in our life, guys. So simply I'm giving an example. So if we have constraint, so if we have constraint in our life, then what we do, we think twice or thrice, and before we make any plan, we make plan as in that if we have a cost, we always want to minimize the cost. And those who have lot of money, what they will do, they will try to, those who have lot of money, what they will try to do, they will try to earn more. So there's a great, there's a this sense of uh, what you say, unexpectation is there from the life. So the objective function, if it like, if the variables in the LPP equation, if they are based, if the variables are based on profit or revenue, then we always will try to maximize them. But if the objective function, if the decision variable is based on cost, then we'll always try to minimize them. So that is what we do normally for solving the problem. So I hope you understand it. So first we try to write them in canonical form. First we try to write them in canonical form. Canonical form means that if your objective function is maximization, then if your objective function is maximization, then you always try to, you always, if your objective function is maximization, then you always make sure that in canonical form your constraints are less than or equal to. While if your objective function is minimization, then your constraint, you will try to make sure that all your constraints are with greater than or equal to sign. So now we write them in canonical form. Once you write them in canonical form, once you have written down in canonical form, now what I can do, I can write the dual of this equation. So this equation I'll call as a primal. This equation I'll call as primal. So this equation I'll call as primal. So if I have a primal, this is the primal, then I'll write the dual of this. So for writing the dual of that, objective function which is maxima, I'll write as now my objective function as minima. Okay. Now guys, please understand, for writing in the dual form, for writing in the dual form, uh, please understand here, for writing them in the dual form, what you need to understand here, that the RHS of your constraint of the primal will become the coefficient of objective function of the dual, because three constraints are there. So I'm introducing three variable of dual equation. So I'll write the minima of z is equal to 2w1 plus 6w2 plus 6w3. This is how we write them in dual form. This is how we write them in the dual form. So the RHS of the primal, the RHS of the primal, the RHS of the primal here, the RHS of the primal equation, the RHS of the primal equation. So that will become the coefficient of the objective function of the dual. And because here three constraints were there, so introduce three variables of the dual equation. Okay, then subject to constraint, subject to constraint. When writing the constraint, what you do, focus on the see the transpose of the coefficients of the constraint. So see the transpose of the coefficient constraint. You will write 2w1 plus 2w2 plus 4w3. Now objective functions minima. So the constraint will be greater than or equal to canonical form. And that what is the RHS? RHS will be the coefficient of the objective function of the primal. One. Clear everyone? Anyone any doubt? Write write down the coefficients of the constraint which is there vertically. Write down there. Use them for the coefficient of the constraint of the dual, and because you have to write them in canonical form, so if the objective function minima, so the sign what you need to use is greater than equal to, and the RHS of the dual will be the coefficient of the objective function of the prime. Any doubt, anyone? Anyone, any doubt?
No, sir.
So this is your first constraint. The second constraint, what you will write? So the second constraint, again, see the coefficient of the constraint of the dual. So see them. So you can write them as this is coefficient is one only for first. So W1, then second one is -1 minus W2 plus W3 greater than equal to 2, greater than equal to 2. You can see this. The coefficient of the objective function of the primal will become the RHS of the dual. And the third one, this would be minus W1 plus 5W2 plus W3 that is greater than equal to there you can see the coefficient of the primal. So third part, that is 1. And then this all you need to write. Then you need to write W1, W2, W3 that will be greater than or equal to 0. So this way you wrote them in the dual form. This way you have written done in the dual form. Once you have written them in the dual form, so this will serve your objective where you understood how you can write the dual of the given equation. Clear everyone? Anyone any doubt? Anyone any doubt? Any doubt, anyone?
No, sir.
All clear
No,
everyone?
sir.
Okay, then try this question. I'm writing the primal, you have to write the dual. Find the dual of the following LPP. subject to solve this question, guys. So if you see this problem, okay, this problem, your objective function is maxima. So your constraint should be less than or equal to. You can see this constraint is less than or equal to. This constraint is less than or equal to, but this constraint is greater than or equal to. So we need to write them in canonical form. To expressing the equation in the canonical form, if I try to express the equation in canonical form, so expressing expressing the given LPP equation, expressing the given LPP problem in canonical form, expressing the given LPP problem in canonical form, expressing the given LPP equation in the canonical form. So we can write this, so the objective function maxima of z. This is given to you 3x1 minus x2 plus x3, subject to constraint, subject to constraint. So your constraint, this is 4x1 minus plus 0x3 I can write. So the objective function is maxima, so constraint will be less than or equal to 8. Second one, I can write this as minus 8x1 minus 3x3 less than or equal to 12. Okay, so that third constraint I can write as 5x1. Then there's no x2, I can write 0x2 minus 6x3 less than or equal to 30, where your x1, x2, x3, they should be greater than equal to 0. So we need to make sure that whenever we see the problem, it should be expressed in a canonical form. So if your objective function is mini-maxima, then your constraint, when you see the inequality sign of your constraint, that should be less than or equal to. While if your objective function is in minima, then the inequality sign of the constraint should be greater than or equal to. Okay, so that is what we need to do while solving the problem. So now when we are trying to solve the problem here, you once the given equation is expressed in the canonical form, once you see that they are in canonical form, imagine if your objective function was minima, then all your constraint would be in greater than equal to sign. So once you know that they are in canonical form, so what you need to do, you need to write the dual form of this equation. This equation we called as a primal. This equation we called as a primal. So we write them the dual form of this primal. We write down the dual form of this primal. So when we write the dual form of this primal, then we write the objective function minima of z dash. So the objective function is maxima. So of primal. So the dual, that would be minima. So that was z, maxima of z. This would be minima of z dash. And when you write the when you write down the objective function of dual, you know that that maxima will become minima. And now see the RHS of the constraint of the primal. So the RHS of the constraint of the primal will become the coefficient of the objective function of the dual. So this would be 8W1 minus 12W2 plus 13W3 subject to constraint, subject to the constraint subject to. So now while writing the constraint of the dual, see the transpose of the transpose of the coefficients of the variables which all belong to x1. So see all the constraints of see the all the constraint of the primal, and see the coefficient of x1. See the coefficient of x1 of the constraints. So their coefficients will ultimately will become the coefficients of the constraint of the dual, first constraint of the dual. So you can write that as this is 4 W1 minus 8 W2 plus 5 W3. If the objective function is minima, then for the canonical form, the constraint would have greater than equal to sign, and then that would be greater than equal to 3. That would be greater than equal to 3. Clear, everyone? So here similarly, you have to write this as minus W1 minus W1. Again, minus sign is a minus W1 minus W2 minus W1 minus W2 plus 0 W3. You can understand that will be greater than or equal to minus 1. You can see this. Very simple, guys. Similarly, 0 W1, similarly 0 W1, similarly 0 W1, then minus 3 W2 minus 0 W1 minus 3 W2, similarly 0 W1 minus 3 W2 minus 6 W3. That will be greater than or equal to the coefficient here 1, where W1, W2, W3, that will be greater than or equal to 0. Clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Now the same thing, if you want, you can spend more time. The same dual, you can write like this: minima of z dash is equal to AW1 minus 12W2 plus 13W3 subject to 4W1 minus 8W2 plus 5W3 is greater than equal to 3. Then this is multiply minus 1 both sides. W plus W2 less than or equal to 1. This is minus 3W2 minus 6W3 is greater than or equal to 1, where W1, W2, W3 is greater than or equal to 0. Clear everyone? Clear everyone? Anyone any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So you understood what all we did so far. Now, if you write down the third problem, you see the third problem. See this problem, guys. Write the dual of the following LPP. So, guys, if you see this, the if you see the constraint here, guys, in this problem, if you see the constraint here in this problem, you can see one of the constraint is having equal to sign. If you see the constraint here in the problem, one of the constraint is having equal to sign. one of the constraint is having equal to sign. So what do you mean by equal to? Equal to means you can write the following problem as minima of z is equal to 2x1 plus 5x2 x2 2x2 x1 is also there, so I can write as 0x1 plus 2x2 plus 5x3 to subject to you can write here as x1 plus x2 plus 0 x3. So canonical form, if the objective function is minima, then it should be in maxima. This is greater than equal to 2. Then you can write this as minus 2x1 minus x2 minus 6x3. Then it should be greater than equal to minus 6. Then only it is in canonical form. Equal to 4 means this means x1 minus x2 plus 3x3, that is either greater than or equal to 4, or that is also x1 minus plus 3x3 less than or equal to minus 4, where your x1, your x2, your x3 that will be greater than equal to 0. Equal to 4 means either it would be greater than or equal to, or either it would be less than equal to, because for the simplex method, if you are writing the equation in the simplex method, then your constraint should be having greater than or greater than or equal to or less than or equal to sign. Your constraint should not have equal to sign. That is how we do in simplex method. So in normally in LPP equation, whenever we see LPP equation, whenever we see LPP equation, in the case of LPP equation, whenever we look into LPP equation, so in the case of LPP equation, the constraint of the LPP equation should have inequality sign. That inequality sign that should be either greater than or equal to, that should be either less than equal to. So writing them in canonical form, I write minimum of z is equal to 0x1 plus 2x2 plus 5x3 subject to subject to subject to then x1 plus x2 plus 0 x3 greater than equal to 2. This is minus 2x1 minus x2 minus 6x3 greater than equal to minus 6. Then this is x1 minus x2 plus 3x3, it is greater than equal to 4. Then this is minus x1 plus x2 minus 3x3 greater than equal to 4. And then x1, x2, x3 that is greater than equal to 0. So this is your primal form. This is your primal. Now you can write the dual of this primal. You can write the dual of the primal. If you're writing the dual of the primal, then your objective function from maxima, from minima, it becomes maxima. So maxima of z dash is equal to maximum of z dash is equal to see the when you are uh, you write maximum of z dash that is equal to maximum of z dash is equal to write the RHS, write down the RHS, write down the RHS, write down the RHS, write down the RHS, see the RHS of the constraint of the primal, see the RHS of the constraint of the primal. So RHS of the constraint of the primal, RHS of the constraint of the primal, that will become the coefficient of the objective function of the dual, coefficient of the function of the dual. So then this is equal to 2w1 minus 6w2 plus 4w3 plus 4w4. Guys, 1 minute. So this is, yeah. So if you write this minus x1 plus x2 minus x2 greater than equal to 4. How the minus sign will come here? 1 minute. There's a mistake. This is less than or equal to 4. So x1 x2 plus 3 less than or equal to 4. Then this will be, yeah, this will less than or equal to minus 4. This will be less than or equal. So this will be 4w4. Okay. Then this is subject to, then you write, see that, then you write w1 minus 2w2 plus w3 minus w4. This is maxima, then this is minima less than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 0. Clear, everyone? Then you write w1 minus w2 minus w3 plus w4 is less than or equal to 2. Then 0w1 minus 6w2 plus 3w3 minus 3w4 is less than or equal to 5, where w1, w2, w3, w4 all are greater than or equal to 0. Clear, everyone? Now the same thing, now the same dual, or the same dual form, guys. If I can write this as maximum of z dash is equal to 2w1 minus 6w2 plus 4. If I take common, this is w3 minus w4. Then subject to, we can write is w1 minus 2w2 plus w3 minus w4 less than or equal to 0. I can write this as w1 minus w2 minus w3 minus w4 less than or equal to 2. This is 0 w1 minus 6w2 plus 3 common, w3 minus w4 less than or equal to 5, where w1, w2, w3, w4 greater than or equal to 0. Now guys, w3 minus w4, if you see, is common in both. If you notice, w3 minus w4 is common in both. So what I can do in place of w3 minus w4, I can write w5, where I say w unrestricted, something like that. I can introduce a variable. Okay, so I can introduce a variable 5 here, where I'll say w5 is unrestricted. I can write the same thing as maxima of z dash is equal to 2w1 minus 6w2 plus 4w5. In place of w3 minus w4, to make the equation simple, I can write that, let that is equal to w5 subject to w1 minus 2w2 plus w5 less than equal to 0, w1 w2 minus w5 less than equal to 2, then minus 6w2 plus w5 less than equal to 5, where w1, W2 is greater than equal to 0, W5 is equal to W3 minus W4, and your W5 is unrestricted. Like this you can write unrestricted. So this much, guys, from the today class. We'll continue discussion in next class. Anyone, any doubt? Anyone want to ask any question? Yeah, I muted lot of people. Muted because lot of sound was coming. So that little irritating while teaching. That's why I muted. So Aishwarya is x1 minus x2 plus 3x2 equal to 4. Where I wrote fourth equation. 1 minute, 1 minute, Aishwarya. X1 plus, yeah. Okay, I understand. Okay. This is like this. If it like this, no, Aishwarya. So if this is like this, Aishwarya, so I can write this x1 minus x2 plus 3x3 if that is equal to 4. So I can break this into two parts. It can be x1 minus x2 plus 3x3 greater than equal to 4. It can be x1 minus x2 plus 3x3 less than or equal to 4. The sum total of this is equal to this. Any doubt, anyone? Any doubt, anyone? This one, guys, from the today class. We'll continue discussion in next class. Any question, anyone?
No, sir.
Please ask, anyone want to ask any question? I'll then wind up the class. Okay, everyone. Then I'll see you all next class. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.